Hello everyone, in this video we're going to see the most common Selenium interview questions and answers. Let's start with the first question. What is automation testing? In fact, automation testing is the process of testing a software or application using an automation testing tool to find the defects. In this process, executing the test scripts and generating the results are performed automatically by automation tools. It is required when we have a huge amount of regression test cases. Some most popular tools to do automation testing are HP, QTP, UFT, Selenium, WebDriver, etc. Moving to the second question, what are the benefits of automation testing? It saves time and money. Automation testing is faster in execution. Reusability of code. Create one time and execute multiple times with less or no maintenance. Easy reporting. It generates automatic reports after test execution. Easy for compatibility testing. It enables parallel execution in the combination of different operating systems and browser environments. Also, low cost maintenance. It is cheaper compared to manual testing in a long run. Automated testing is more reliable. Automated testing is more powerful and versatile. Automation tools allows us to integrate with the cross-browser testing tools, Jenkins, GitHub, etc. It is mostly used for regression testing, supports execution of repeated test cases. Minimal manual intervention. Test scripts can be run unattended. Also, maximum coverage. It helps to increase the test coverage. Third question. What are the challenges and limitations of Selenium WebDriver? With Selenium WebDriver, we cannot test the Windows application. We cannot test mobile apps. Limited reporting. Handling dynamic environments, elements. Handling page load, handling pop-up windows, handling captcha, also handling captcha. So, what type of test cases to be automated? Data-driven test cases with higher complexity, test case with many database updates, the test execution rate is high, smoke or critical tests, tests with several combinations, graph test cases, and higher manual execution time. Now we'll see what type of test cases not be automated, so beware of this. Subjective validation, new functionalities, strategic developments, user experience, complex functionality, quality control, low return on investment, and installation and setup testing. Now we see how many test cases you have automated per day. This question is so common. So actually it depends on test case scenario complexity and length. You can say that. Also you can say I did automate 2 or 5 test scenarios per day when the complexity is limited, or sometimes just 1 or fewer test scenarios in a day when the complexity is high. The interviewer may ask you, what is a framework? In fact, a framework defines a set of rules or best practices that we can follow in a systematic way to achieve the desired results. There are different types of automation frameworks, and we will see now the most common ones. So we have data-driven testing framework, we have keyword-driven testing framework, hybrid testing framework, also behavioral-driven framework. Now, what are the advantages of the test automation framework? As we say, reusability of code, easy reporting, low cost maintenance, maximum coverage, minimal manual intervention, and that's it. Now we will move to why do you prefer Selenium automation tool? Be concentrated in this question. Because it's free and open source. It is a free open source tool. There is no need to allot budget for this tool. Also help. It has a large user base and helping communities. And also it's a cross-browser compatibility. It works on almost all popular browsers such as Chrome, Firefox, Internet Explorer, and Safari. Cross-platform compatibility. It works on platforms such as Windows, Linux, and Mac. Now, I will ask you, why do you prefer Selenium automation tool? The answer is, it's multiple programming languages. It supports programming languages such as Java, Python, Perl, PHP, C#, Ruby, etc. Also, it's parallel execution. Selenium Grid supports parallel execution of Selenium scripts. We have also continuous integration. We can achieve nightly execution using Jenkins. Now, what is Selenium? What is Selenium in real life? Selenium is an open source, free, automated testing suite to test web applications. It supports different platforms and browsers. It has gained a lot of popularity in terms of web-based automated testing and given a great competition to the famous commercial tool HP QTP. We mean by QTP Quick Test Professional, as known as HP UFT, Unified Functional Testing. Selenium is a set of different software tools. Each tool has a different approach in supporting web-based automation testing. Selenium has four components, namely Selenium IDE, Selenium Integrated Development Environment, Selenium RC, Selenium Remote Control, Selenium WebDriver, and Selenium Grid. We should memorize these four components. Let's move now to the first one, Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE Integrated Development Environment is a Firefox plugin. It is the simplest framework in the Selenium suite. It allows us to record and play back the scripts. Even though we can create scripts using Selenium IDE, we need to use Selenium RC or Selenium WebDriver to write more advanced and robust test cases. What is Selenium? Selenium is the language that is used to write test scripts in Selenium IDE, now we will see which is the only browser that supports Selenium IDE to be used: Firefox and Chrome. However, a Selenium IDE is community-powered. Regular updates and compatibility with new browser versions cannot be ensured. What is Selenium RC? Selenium RC, as known as Selenium Remote Control or Selenium 1. Selenium Remote Control was the main Selenium project for a long time before the WebDriver merge brought up Selenium 2. Selenium 1 is still actively supported in maintenance mode. It relies on JavaScript for automation. It supports Java, JavaScript, Ruby, PHP, Python, Perl, and C#. It supports almost every browser out there. So now we will see what is Selenium WebDriver. If the interviewer asks you this, you can answer. Selenium WebDriver, as known as Selenium 2 now, is a browser automation framework that accepts commands and sends them to a browser. It is implemented through a browser-specific driver It controls the browser by directly communicating with it. Selenium WebDriver supports Java, C#, PHP, Python, Perl, and Ruby. Now we'll see what is Selenium Grade. Okay, Selenium Grade can be used to execute same or different test scripts on multiple platforms and browsers concurrently so as to achieve distributed test execution. Okay, now we'll see when do we use Selenium Grade. In fact, we use Selenium Grade because let's say what is Selenium Grade is a tool used together with Selenium RC to run tests on different machines against different browsers in parallel. That is, running multiple tests at the same time against different machines, running different browsers and operating systems. In simple words, it is used to distribute your test execution on multiple platforms and environments concurrently. Now we see the advantages of Selenium Grade. In fact, it allows running test cases in parallel, thereby saving test execution time. It allows multiple browser testing. Also, it allows us to execute test cases on multi-platform. Now, we will see what is a hub in Selenium Grade. In fact, a hub is a server or a central point that controls the test execution on different machines. What is a node in Selenium Grade? Node is the machine which is attached to the hub. There can be multiple nodes in Selenium Grade. What are the types of the WebDriver APIs available in Selenium? We will see Firefox driver, Jcode driver, Internet Explorer driver, Chrome driver, HTML unit driver, Opera driver, Safari driver, also Android driver, iPhone driver, Event Firing Web driver. Now the interviewer will ask you which WebDriver implementation claims to be the fastest. The fastest implementation of WebDriver is the HTML unit driver. It is because the HTML unit driver does not execute tests in the browser. Starting a browser and running test cases took more time compared to running the scripts without a browser. HTML unit driver took a simple HTTP request response mechanism for test case execution. Now, what are the programming languages supported by Selenium WebDriver? Be aware of this question and be concentrated. We know it's Java, C#, Python, Ruby, Perl, PHP. Now, what are the operating systems supported by Selenium WebDriver? We have Windows, Linux, Mac OS, iOS, and Android. What are the testing types that can be supported by Selenium? Functional testing, regression testing as we see it, retesting, acceptance testing, end-to-end testing, and smoke testing. We have also sanity testing, responsive testing, cross-browser testing, UI testing, integration testing. Now, how many parameters can Selenium commands have at minimum? Be careful. There are four parameters that you have to pass in Selenium, which are host, port number, browser, and URL. We will see them one by one. For the host, it is the parameter which we use to bind Selenium to a specific IP. Usually, we run Selenium tests on our local machine, so the value will be localhost. you can specify IP address instead of localhost. Okay, we see now the second parameter, which is the port number. TCP IP port, which is used to connect Selenium tests to the Selenium Grid Hub, which we talked about it in previous questions. Default port hub is 4444. So the default port hub is 4444. Make sure no other application in your system is using this port. If this occurs, you can either shut down the other process that is using port 4444, or you can tell Selenium Grid to use a different port for its hub. Now, how many parameters can Selenium commands have at minimum? As it's the same question, we will continue with the third and the fourth parameter. The fourth parameter is the browser. To pass the browser which has to execute our Selenium scripts. And finally, URL, to pass the application URL. List out different types of locators. In Selenium WebDriver, there are 8 different types of locators. We have ID, class name, name, tag name, and example, link text, partial link text, XPath, CSS selector. Now, so what is an XPath? The famous XPath. XPath is used to locate the elements. Using XPath, we could navigate through elements and attributes in an XML document to locate web elements such as text box, button, checkbox, image, etc. in a web page. When you use these locators, ID, name, XPath, or CSS selectors, we will see when we use them. In fact, ID and name locators will be used when there are unique identifiers and unique names available on the web page. Now, for CSS selector can be used for performance and when ID and name locators are not unique. XPath now is used when there is no preferred locators. Okay, I hope it's clear. So we will move to the next question. So what is the difference between slash and the double slash? Single slash is used to create XPath with absolute path. The XPath would be created to start Selenium from the document node start node. Double slash is used to create XPath with the relative path. Example, the XPath would be created to start selection from anywhere within the document. Hope it's clear. So, what is the difference between absolute path and relative path? In fact, absolute XPath starts from the root node and ends with desired descendant elements node. It starts with top HTML node and ends with input node. It starts with a single forward slash, as you can see in this comment. Now coming to the relative XPath. It starts from any node in between the HTML page to the current elements node, last node of the element. It starts with a double forward slash, as shown below. Now we will see the difference between assert and verify in Selenium. In fact, assert is, in simple words, if the assert condition is true, then the program control will execute the next test step, but if the condition is false, the execution will stop and further test steps will not be executed. Coming now to verify. Verify, in simple words, there will not be any halt in the test execution even though the verify condition is true or false. Sorry. Now, what are soft assert and hard assert in Selenium? Soft assert collects errors during test. Soft assert does not throw an exception when an assert fails and would continue with the next step after the assert statement. Hard assert throws an assert exception immediately when an assert statement fails and test suite continues with next test. Okay. Now, what is the difference between setSpeed and sleep methods? In fact, both sleep and setSleep are used in delay the execution speed. setSpeed, it's setup speed that will apply a delay time before every Selenium operation. Example, setSpeed this 5000, it waits for 5 seconds. Sleep, it set up wait only for once when called in our Selenium script. Example, sleep 5000, it waits for 5 seconds. Note, setSpeed method is applicable to Selenium IDE and Selenium RC. We cannot use setSpeed in Selenium WebDriver. Sorry. Now, coming to the last question. What are the verification points available in Selenium? In Selenium IDE, we use Selenium Verify and Assert commands as verification points in Selenium WebDriver. There is no built-in features for verification points. It totally depends on our coding style. Some of the verification points are to check for page title, to check for certain text, or to check for certain elements such as text box, button, drop down.